Welcome to Faye Talks Wood podcast. I'm Will from Flatwood Acres.
And I'm Tom from Mountain Valley Maker.
And we're a podcast talks about a little bit of everything. So, Tom, you want to hear a funny story? You start off with a laugh today because I'll get you to laugh at me here.
Sure.
So, what a lot of people don't know, I mean, obviously we don't share everything, but the last 2 episodes were kind of pre-recorded, if you will. Well, yours was on time, yours was normal, and then mine was recorded like I think I said in the episode like the same day I edited yours, because I was gone all last week in New Orleans, Louisiana for a work trip, and I left Sunday morning at 4 a.m. from my house, and well, there's a long story there, but I was supposed to come back Friday evening. And, well, let's just say this. And I apologize if there's anybody listening that's from New Orleans. No disrespect, but that is an evil city. It just voodoo is commercialized, and it's bad. I told my wife, I said, New Orleans is as if LA, Vegas, and Nashville had an illegitimate baby and threw it down to the coast. I mean, that's kind of what I equate New Orleans with. I mean, it's just openly evil. The homeless was just horrible. It was, and the weirdest thing was it even smelt evil, if that makes any sense at all. I can't explain it. It just smelled evil. So I was down there all week, and this is a big IT conference, massive, and there's a big like expo that goes on throughout the weeks where there's all IT vendors, and you can go in and talk to salespeople and get to know about products and stuff like that. Well, it's like a trade show, and I know, Tom, you've been to trade shows. Well, there's always giveaways, right? There's always like, put your business card in here, and if they draw your business card, you win a prize or whatever. And there were several of those going on, and I basically tried all of them. Why not, right? While you're there, and I won one. And what it was a golf putter, like, to go. So it's like this little case, and in the case was a putter that was broken down into 3 pieces, and then a little like C-shaped cup thing that you could put like in your office or something, your hotel room, and putt balls into the little C-shaped cup. Well, I'd won this, and I put it in my suitcase. Now I didn't check any bags. I just do carry on, and I didn't think anything of it. But it was about, I think it was on my way in the Uber back to the airport to leave, and I was texting my wife, and I says, "Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if TSA gets all freaked out about this putter." And then I forgot about it, and well, I get through the TSA line, and it was pretty long, and they my bag goes through, and then I go through, and you do the thing where you stand in the thing, and the thing goes around you, and they have me step out, and two big fellers come up to me, and they said, "Sir, you have to come with us." I'm like, okay. And they said, "We can either do this out here, or we can do this in a private room." I'm like, "Do what?" Like, "We need to search you." I'm like, "Okay." And he said to me, he said, "Now this can go easy, or this could be hard." He's like, "If you don't want to comply, we will force you." And he said, "I've already had enough today. I'll give you the first 2 hits, and then I'm taking you down." I'm like, "Wait, there's no combatant. No, I'm not no, whatever you guys need." And so he gets to know me real well as he searches me, like I'm a criminal. And And then they had me take my shoes off because they weren't having you take your shoes off to go through TSA, and they scanned my shoes through the thing. And then they said, "Okay, you're good." Well, then I saw my suitcase was over with the other dude. I'm like, "Oh, man, that stupid golf thing." And so I go over to this other, like, side, and this guy's there. He was really nice, and he says, "Sir, what am I gonna find in here?" I says, it's a golf thing I won at this conference. It's a putter with a thing that you can, you know." And so he gets it out of my suitcase and he opens it up, and as he opens it up, I realize it looks like a rifle. Like, you break down like a rifle and it's like the barrel and then the thing. I'm like, "Oh my gosh." And so he said to me, he said, "Well, you can either take this back, we'll escort you back through TSA, you can check this, and then you'll come back through TSA again." I'm like, "Man, I don't even want the thing." I said, You guys can do whatever you want with it." He's like, "Are you sure, man? This is pretty cool." I said, "You can have it. Like, I don't want the hassle." The TSA line was getting longer and longer. And so he's like, "All right, man." And he air quotes to me. He said, "Well, I'm gonna go lock this up." As in he was probably gonna take it or something. I don't know.
That,
But
that's ridiculous that they wouldn't let you take that.
right, he saw what it was. He saw it was a putter and it was a whole thing and it was still like in the plastic and stuff, like, you know, and I it was just funny because uh it's just one of those things like, oh, I'm gonna get pulled off to the side. And sure enough, I mean, I got full pat down, checked my pockets. He had his hands all up in my stuff, just trying to, you know what I mean, like pat me down and whatnot. And I'm like, so hindsight is funny. But the weird thing is so when I go to airports, I am really early. I'm one of those guys, I will spend 3 hours sitting in an airport just in case something like this happens at TSA or like the line's really long or my gate changes a bunch. I like being early at an airport. And so not, they know when my flight is. So not only am I super early, but now they're suspicious of me. And I'm fairly certain for the first hour I was being watched. Like I went and like sat down for a minute, and then when it come to be about lunchtime, there's a Chili's restaurant there. I went and got a grilled chicken salad from Chili's and ate it and everything. And but yeah, so your boy got fully TSA searched. And yeah, I can mark that one off my bucket list. I've been so that's not the first time my bag has been like it's been pulled off to the side. That happened to me. Um, Workbench Con. At Workbench Con, remember that guy that was selling them weird little zip line things? It
Yeah.
was like a toy that had a lot. I bought one to take home to my kids. And he's like, "Oh, it'll get through TSA, it'll get through TSA." It did not get through TSA, although they let me keep it. So they saw what it was. They pulled it off to the side because like, we don't know what this thing is. And they pulled it off, and then they saw what it was. It was just a little toy thing, and they let me keep it. But this one, he saw it was a putter. He saw it like it was a thing you screw it together, and then it's a little carry thing you can take with you on a trip if you want to putt around in your hotel room, or whatever. Um, so yeah, so that was fun. Yeah.
Crazy. I guess they thought you were going to assemble the putter in the middle of the flight and beat somebody up with it or something. I don't know. What
Well,
I
here's
bet
the
it
crazy
really
thing.
is he was thinking, "Ooh, I'm going to tell him he has to go back through the line. He won't want to do that, and then I could take this home."
Right, whatever they do, I don't know. You say that, which it's funny that they think I'm gonna put this putter together and beat somebody. But you know what I get when I get my grilled chicken salad? They gave me a knife right in the airport at the hotel. Are you kidding me? You give me a knife at the restaurant in the airport, but my putter thing that whatever. But it's kind of funny. But I tell you what, that was one of my most after that. So I was gone all week. Um, it was a long week. My kids were missing me. I was missing my kids, my wife, and everything. And and so I was supposed to fly out Friday morning, and there's no easy flight from New Orleans to Cleveland. So it was going to take most of the day to get home. And I wouldn't have gotten home. I would have pulled in my driveway at like 7 o'clock Friday night. And I'm like, man, I just want to get home. And so I looked at the conference I was at, and I had some sessions scheduled Thursday afternoon, but none of them were. It was all like filler stuff. The end of the week. That was the last day of the conference was Thursday. That I was just gonna throw on and just do. And so I I looked at flights and I saw that one went out, took off at 4 o'clock Thursday afternoon, which would put me in Cleveland at like just before 10 p.m. and I could be home before midnight. And then I was talking to my wife about it. I said, well, then I can come home and I can surprise the kids in the morning. Like we won't tell them that I'm coming home early. And so that was the plan. So I talked to the hotel. They were going to charge me. It's Jazz Fest in New Orleans this weekend, so they were going to make their money back on my room. They probably had somebody in there before I left the hotel. Let me tell you what. And so I changed my flight, and yeah, so everything was good. I went and had lunch, and after I got done with my lunch, I go back and I sit at an empty gate just where there's no people, and I start getting out my Bible and stuff to study for my lesson. I taught, Sunday school. I was teaching Sunday school at church today, and I'm sitting there and going over stuff, and next thing you know, my phone goes bing, bing, bing. I look down, and so I was supposed to fly from uh, New Orleans to Houston, and then from Houston to Cleveland. It's backwards, but that's the flight that it was. Well, there were really bad storms coming through Houston, and so they delayed my flight from Houston until almost 11 o'clock at night.
Mm.
So I'd have flown into Houston at like I'd have got there at like 5:30 and had like a 5.5 or 6 hour layover. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. And so that would put me home. Um, it's a 2 hour drive, almost a 2 hour drive home from Cleveland Airport. And so that would have put me it would put me in Cleveland at 1 no, it was almost a 3 hour flight. So it would have put me in Cleveland at 2:30 in the morning, and then I wouldn't have gotten home until 4, and I would have been dead. Well, and so I was like, "You gotta be kidding me." So I went up to the lady at United. I flew United, and I said, "Hey, I'm trying to get home. I've been gone all week. I wanna get home to my family." I said, "Is there any flight you could put me on to get me to Cleveland anytime sooner?" And so she looked, she said, "Yeah, I can route you. I can put you on a flight from here to Dulles in DC, and then it'll put you home at like wheels down in Cleveland at um at right at midnight." I'm like, okay, well that gets me home about 1:30, 2 o'clock. That's fine. And so I get changed this flight. So the flight was about an hour or so later, and yeah, that's fine, whatever. And there's some cool stories there I won't talk about now. But we get on the plane, they start to back us out onto the tarmac, and they shut us down because the thunderstorms have hit us and there's lightning. We sat in that airplane for almost an hour and a half waiting for the storm to fly over. Well, I was gonna have I was gonna have like a 2 hour layover in Dulles, which it was fine. I was gonna find dinner there, do something at the airport. Well, the clock is counting down, and finally we get out on the runway, and we're behind, taxiing behind 10 other planes because everybody's trying to take off, and we take off, and we land in Dulles, and I had Wi-Fi on the plane. I saw that like I was going to have an 8-minute time frame before they were shutting the gate to get like it would have been the equivalent of think of like a Sam's Club if you're going from one corner to the opposite back corner. I was gonna have to get that far, but we are gonna have to get off the plane. And I was like, "You're kidding me." And there was another guy sitting right in front of me that was getting on the same plane to get to Cleveland. And we get off and we're trying to get off the plane. And everybody's, people are stupid on planes. Everybody
Yeah.
wants to get off. Nobody does it right. If everybody would just follow the natural instruction of getting off a plane, everybody get off super quick. And so several people see that him and I are like, hey, we've got to catch our plane. It's about to take off. We're trying to get home. And several people just sit down and they're like, you guys go. And we booked it to this gate. And I'm not a runner. Look, I'm out of shape. I'll be the first one. And the lady was getting ready to close the door and she sees us coming and she says, oh, there you two guys are. We've been waiting for you. The flight was waiting for us.
Whew.
Dude,
Man.
it was like, and so I pulled in my driveway exactly at 2:30 in the morning on Friday morning. I get inside, I get a nice hot shower because I've been traveling all day. And my head hit the pillow at 3 a.m. and I woke up at 7 to get up with the family and take the kids to school. The kids were all excited. Hannah, my wife was, she got the kids up and she said, guys, come into mommy and daddy's room. And I was still kind of half out and, daddy, and they come jumping on me and stuff. And so it was worth it. But and that didn't even like end the craziness that I had to do. I had stuff I had to get done Friday, but I ended up taking like an hour and a half nap Friday afternoon because I was just like, oh. But that's my story. So that's the long story there. But it's been a busy week. I'm ready to get back into routine and get back to some normalcy. How have you been, Tom? Feels like we haven't talked in a while because honestly, the last 2 weeks, we've recorded solo episodes. And I listened to yours when I recorded it or when I edited it, I mean. And so, yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah. I just have been busy installing signs and working on the farm, moving irrigation, watering my pasture. I got it seeded and then tomorrow I'm leaving to go to Denver to work for a few days to do a big install over there. So cool thing is I'm going to stay at my nephew's house so I get to see my nephew and their family. But yeah,
Now, if you do something like that where you charge over where you're having to work multiple day, on a normal occasion, you'd have to get a hotel or something. You would charge that back to the
well, what I charge when I do my quote, I have my hourly rate for my install, whatever my travel is, say I'm driving 200 miles or whatever,
right.
my mileage, and then I'll work into the price when I quote it. I'm okay. How many nights am I gonna have to stay in a hotel? Money for food, everything. So what's it gonna cost me? So that way, then I make the profit that I need to make. So
Okay.
yeah.
So I got you.
So if I did the same identical job right here in Grand Junction where I live, it would be far less than if I travel 4 hours and have to stay overnight to do it.
Right.
So
Right.
yep.
Interesting. Funny enough, this conference that I went to was, you've heard of IBM, right? And the big computer manufacturer. It was the big IBM conference in New Orleans. Next year it's in Denver.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Here's the issue though. So last week I was in the conference. Next week, my assistant manager is going to our big bank conference that we go to. And so I sent him to that since I was going to go to this IBM one. And then the plan is tentatively that we swap. That next year he'll go to the IBM conference, and then next year I'll go to the banking conference, and we'll flip flop it back and forth. And there's some stuff next year that I kind of have to go to the banking conference, so I'm kind of bummed because I was going to come out a couple days early and come see you.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But yeah, we'll see what happens. There's still time to have, but yeah, man. Hey, we planted some stuff in our garden.
Yeah, I saw that on your stories on your
Yeah, planted
Instagram.
some onions. I guess those are pretty, like, you can plant them just about any time from what we read in the book. We've got like 4 gardening books. And so that, and then my wife planted some sort of flower. I don't remember what it was, but some sort of flower in the one part. And yeah, dude, last night it got down to like 30 degrees, and we planted all those fruit trees, and I'm hoping they looked fine today. I mowed the grass today, and they looked fine when I rode past them. I'm hoping that the frost didn't kill them. I'd be ticked.
Nah, it wouldn't. I mean, because if they're brand new trees, it's not like they're blooming. You
Right.
know,
Well,
so
they're starting to,
yeah,
flower out a little
that's,
bit, but
they should be fine.
yeah. So, what you got on your heart today? I know
Yeah,
you had sent me the passage.
yeah, man. So yeah, I'm really gonna read you know, Romans 1 verses 18 through 32, but there in the beginning of Romans it talks about you know, who is called, and it says through Christ God has given us the privilege and authority as possible to tell Gentiles everywhere. So, and it, it talks about, and you're included among the Gentiles who have been called to belong to Jesus Christ. So, who's the Gentiles? Well, that's all of us. Anybody not born a Jew, the rest of us are all Gentiles. So, and there's the passage about God knitting us in our mother's womb. So, God created every single human being. Um, and called every one of us. And for some of us answer the call and some of us don't. And so we're going to read a passage kind of about that. And this talks about God's anger at sin. And because we all have that choice to either choose the path of accepting God's gift of his son and receiving that grace and mercy, or refusing it. So starting in verse 18, and I'm reading from my NLT today. But God shows his anger from heaven against all sinful, wicked people who suppress the truth by their wickedness. They know the truth about God because he has made it obvious to them. And so that part right there, God has made it obvious to everyone that he exists and that he is the one true God. But some people choose not to believe it or follow him. On in verse 20 there, for ever since the world was created, people have seen the earth and sky through everything God made. They can clearly see his invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature. So they have no excuse for not knowing God. Yes, they knew God, but they wouldn't worship him as God or even give him thanks. And they began to think up foolish ideas what God was like. As a result, their minds became dark and confused. Claiming to be wise, they instead became utter fools. And instead of worshiping the glorious, ever living God, they worshiped idols made to look like mere people and birds and animals and reptiles. So God abandoned them to do whatever shameful things their hearts desired. As a result, they did vile and degrading things with each other's bodies. They traded the truth about God for a lie. So they worshiped and served the things God created instead of the Creator himself, who is worthy of eternal praise. Amen. That is why God abandoned them to their shameless desires. Even the women turned against the natural way to have sex and instead indulged in sex with each other. And men, instead of normal sexual relationships with women, burned with the lust for each other. Men did shameful things with other men, and as a result, this sin, they suffered within themselves the penalty they deserved. Since they thought it foolish to acknowledge God, and he abandoned them to their foolish thinking and let them do the things that should never be done. Their lives became full of every kind of wickedness, sin, greed, hate, envy, murder, quarreling, deception, malicious behavior, and gossip. They are backstabbers, haters of God, insolent, proud, and boastful. They invent new ways of sinning, and they disobey their parents. They refuse to understand, break their promises, are heartless, and have no mercy. They know God's justice requires that those who do these things deserve to die, yet they do them anyway. Worse yet, they encourage others to do them too. And why I wanted to read this passage is recently someone I know who, if you met them, you would be like, that is a good person. They're wonderful to be around. They would, faithful to their wife, been married 40 years to them, wouldn't steal a thing, wouldn't hurt a flea. Yet out of his mouth, something was happened to him good. And he said to me, this is what he said, the universe was just speaking to me. And I'm like, I said, you realize the universe doesn't speak, but the creator of the universe does. And so in there it talked about, it's like people recognize all the things that God made. For ever since the world was created, people have seen the earth, the sky, and through everything God made, then clearly see his invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature. So they have no excuse for not knowing God. But yet people still do. And you talked about being in New Orleans and the wickedness. So God gives us the choice. We have the choice to either do the wicked things or to turn from them. It is our choice. But not knowing God is a choice as well. And just because, there's a guy that I'm friends with that made a statement one time. I was talking about faith, and he's like, my God is the mountains up there. I'm like, well, those mountains really aren't going to do anything. They're beautiful to go hike in, but they're not going to answer anything for you. And but people choose to worship the creation versus the creator. And people choose to do wicked things. And like it talked about, even making up new sins. If every day you think the world can't get any crazier, and yet we wake up and people are doing things that we just never thought. It's like, how did they come up with that idea? But just pure T craziness. So everything is a choice. And I hope that if you're listening to this, that you've already made that choice. And when you walk outside and you see the beautiful mountains or fruit trees or the plains or whatever it's like wherever you live, that it reminds you of the creator, that you don't worship the creation, and that you make that choice to turn away from the wickedness of the world and turn to God and accept his wonderful gift. And if you've never done that, I just want to urge you to. God has given us the greatest gift by sending his son to earth to die for our sins. And so when we accept him, all the wicked stuff we've done in the past, and we've all done something wrong. I know as humans, we like to think we're good people, but, we're not perfect people. And once we accept God's gift and accept Jesus as our Savior, we're cleansed. We are then perfect in God's eyes. And but I just want to encourage you to chase after Him and worship the Creator, not the creation. What do you think about all this? This just happened. I had this on my heart because of what my friend had said. And then you talked about New Orleans and all the wickedness there, and also like Las Vegas and uh, San Francisco. And there's a bunch of cities where it just seems like evil is just rampant in the things they do there.
Yeah, it seems to always be near salt water. I don't know what it is with salt water, but
There not much salt water in Las Vegas, but
that's true. That's probably the problem. No. Um, I so I was just pulling up my notes from my lesson. So today I ended a series I've been teaching in our Sunday school class at church on the attributes of God. And this week was on how God is good, right? And how goodness flows from who he is, his character. He doesn't do good things. He is good, right?
yep,
And as talking about Romans 1 here, where it's like they gave up everything. They know it's wrong, and then they started, encouraging others to do it. At the end there of Romans 1, in Romans 12, and this is interesting. So you had read from the NLT, the New Living Translation. I had the ESV sitting here, so as you were reading, I ran over to grab my itty bitty little New Living Translation with text that barely an ant could read. But Romans 12:9 in the ESV, well, it's interesting because I'm a translation whatever. I like the translation stuff. In the ESV, the LSB, all those that you're kind of used to, it's going to say in Romans 12:9, let love be genuine, abhor what is evil, and hold fast to what is good. The LSB is one of my main translations. It says, let love be without hypocrisy, abhor what is evil, cling to what is good. The Greek word for cling is kalao, which literally means to glue, to adhere to. It is this idea that we are clinging to God because he is good. And that's why goodness must be a spirit empowered and scripturally focused thing. Our definition of good is constantly being shaped by things around us, better or worse, by culture, emotion, whatever it is, self-interest. But the reality is that God is good, and um, tolerating evil doesn't make us neutral. Let me say that again. Tolerating evil does not make us neutral. It's actively reshapes our moral vision. You can't cling to what is good, but then be tolerant to what is evil. It doesn't work that way. It's a pot calling the kettle black. You can't do both. And so there's this idea of, just let Johnny do what Johnny does or whatever, right? No, that's not what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to abhor evil, means run from it, get away from it, and then cling to what is good. Um, people are always going to have their own definition of what they think good is, and who they think God is, and all this stuff. But the reality is that nothing in this world is good without God. In Psalm, where's it at? Had it in the beginning of my Psalm 34. Oh, taste and see that Yahweh is good. Blessed is the man who takes refuge in him. Oh, taste and see. I mean, come on. We are created to be image bearers of God. And so, you read from Romans 1, which is like Paul slamming the hammer down on y'all done gone crazy and here's the results from it, right? I mean, that's basically in the New Will translation. Um, that's basically what he's saying. Um, I mean, for the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and all unrighteousness of men, who by their unrighteousness suppresses the truth. Um, Brothers and sisters, you guys listening to this, if you believe that Jesus is the Savior, we can't suppress the truth. We have to let the truth be the truth, and the only truth is that of God. And so, yeah,
Amen.
good stuff. But anyways, I was saying there a minute ago about Romans 12 says cling to. The Greek word kalao means to adhere to or to glue to. Um, the NLT actually has a really, really good rendering of it. It says, don't just pretend to love others, really love them. Hate what is wrong, hold tightly to what is good. Hold tightly, that's that glue that cling to. So anyways, for everybody who always says that NLT is a bit loose of a translation, sometimes it hits right on the head. So I don't know. Anywho,
It's such a stark contrast between where verse 32 in chapter 1 said, and they encouraged others to do evil as well, versus this where it's saying, don't, to truly love somebody, don't, and then cling to what's good. And a lot of time people think of, God and religion as just a set of rules. And like, we'll take sex, for example. Sex, God designed it to be between one man, one woman, inside the context of marriage. And inside that context of marriage, you can have all the sex you want for the rest of your life with one woman or one man if you're a woman. And the beauty of that, of the way he set it up, is if you don't have sex with anybody else outside of marriage and it's just you and your wife, guess what? You're never going to get a sexually transmitted disease.
how about that?
It's a beautiful thing how that works out. If you stay with one woman your whole life and stay married, and you're never going to pay child support. You're never going to pay alimony. It's weird how that works out.
There's consequences to our actions, isn't there?
But also, studies show that when a man and a woman stay married and stay in the house, their kids are, I forget the percentage of that, their higher success rate, but it's astronomical compared to those who don't. And so you see all this good that happens when you follow God's rule. If you don't envy others and envy what they have and go out and try to keep up with the Joneses, guess what? You don't end up in a bunch of debt with a bunch of stress. And, so it's just really, it seems like you're giving up the fun aspect of it to go God's way. But the reality is it just ends up so much better. So much better.
Yep. No, I agree 100%. You reap what you sow. There are consequences to the actions that we make. And if you don't want to accept that, well, you're going to face those consequences.
And there's also rewards for making the right choices. So
absolutely,
there's no consequence when you make the right choice. That's when you make the bad
one.
Yeah, no.
Correct. Yep. Yeah, man, that's good stuff. So sounds like you've been busy. Have you done any woodworking?
No. Dude, all I have done is walk past my tools.
Yeah.
I've had an insane amount of work, but mainly I've been working on my property, doing a bunch of grading on the side of my shop, where I'm putting some rock and then working in the field, and then also I've had a bunch of sign installs, and then I play pool, billiards, and our team, won our division in both 8-ball and 9-ball. And so Saturday, we had to play in the 9-ball tournament, which we didn't make it past the first round because two of us, I used to be a skill level 5 and I got moved up to a skill level 6. This is APA amateur pool, so it's has a handicap system, and so
Right, like golf. Yep.
yeah, and in 9-ball the lowest is a 1 and the highest is a 9, and I'm just a mediocre player, so I was a 5 for the longest, and I had 1 week where I just obliterated this guy. It was just one of those, you know how sometimes you have when you're playing a game or whatever your sport is, you just have the day where you can't miss. Well, I had one of those days where I was just shooting insanely well, and my opponent, he was ranked, he was a 7 and I was a 5 at the time, and so first of all, he had to spot me balls, so that's part of it. Second, I shot really well, and then he missed some shots that he doesn't normally miss, and then I also played defense really well, and so I stuck him where he didn't have a shot if I didn't, and then I also had a break and run. And so the next week they moved me up to a 6, so I beat the guy 20-0, and which he's way better than me. It was just one of those fluke of a nature weeks where I shot really well, he shot really bad, and so anyway. But what happened is that made us. You can only have a total of 23 handicap between your 5 players in a match, and so we had one of our players as a 2. She sprained her ACL, or what's the other one in your knee? The
MCL.
MCL. She sprained one of them, and she was out of work for 6 weeks. And so, if she's skipping work, and plus she couldn't walk, it hurt her to walk, so she couldn't come to league. She missed too many weeks, and so we were without her. And then Ryan, our captain, was a 7, and he got moved up to an 8. So now we could only play 4 players, which means we're automatically the way 9-ball works is each match, you have 5 matches when you're playing another team. Each match is worth 20 points, so a total of 100 points. So whoever makes 51 is going to win the match. Well, one forfeit, that's giving the other team 20. Right off the bat. And so we knew we didn't stand a chance. The fact that we made it there was a miracle. And then the very first, we draw a really good team. And I'm like, there's no way we're beating them with 4 people. We have to all win. And I couldn't play. And I have the highest winning percentage on our team. But it was either me or the captain that had to sit out. And I was like, dude, you need to play. It's your team. And I'll sit out. So, but next Saturday, so that was yesterday. But next Saturday, we play in the 8-ball tournament, and we were the top 8-ball team this time, and we shoot really well at 8-ball. So I'm thinking pretty optimistically about our chances. So if we win the tournament next weekend, then we'll go to the next level tournament. You have this called triannuals, and then you go to regionals, then you go to state, then you get to go to the nationals in Vegas.
Right.
And that's where you can win. I went and played in the nationals about 2004, I think. My daughter was either 2 or 3 or something like that. I can't remember exactly. And our team got 3rd. And so,
nice.
Yeah, we did really well. But yeah, I'd like to go back. It's a lot of fun to go play in those big tournaments. And I'm trying to get qualified to go play in the singles. That's what I really want to do, because then it's just on me. Not you don't have to worry about teammates and all. But yeah, man,
that's fun.
So
you ever get into bowling at all?
So me and my wife, when we were first married, we played in a bowling league with two of my customers. They had a business and we did their embroidery work for them, and they were just the funnest people. And so we played. We all sucked. We were awful, awful bowlers, but the bowling alley had a great grill in there, so it had really good food. So it was like our one night a week. We go over there, have a beer, get hamburger and fries because they have really good hamburgers, and and then throw the ball in the gutter most of the time. I mean, I think one time I bowled over 200, but most of the time I was like a 140 to 160 guy. My wife,
Which is it bad?
yeah, my wife was gonna bowl 89.
Yeah,
Something
yeah.
like that. It was, and then now one of the other ladies, she was a pretty decent bowler, but then her business partner was awful too. So it was just us having fun. We didn't do it to be competitive. It was just like every Thursday night we're going bowling, and just to make ourselves get out of the office and quit work early, type
Yeah.
thing.
So up here in the north, bowling is very competitive. It's huge.
Yeah.
In the winter, when it's snowing out, you can't do anything. Everybody goes bowling.
That's how pool
Um,
is. There's a
right.
lot of great billiards players up in the north.
Yeah, there's there's a big billiards place in Erie. The heck is that place called? Andy's, or I don't remember what it's called, but there's a big place there. But I used to play quite a bit of bowling. Um, and I 220, 240. I've hit up in the 260s a couple times. Never got a 300. That's my style of bowling. It's called two-handed bowling. I don't use my thumb, and my ball has a bunch of revs on it, so it goes down and it just comes in sideways, crashing into the 10 pin, into the head pin, right in the pocket. But there's a thing in bowling where you can go. They usually do it on like fun nights if you're like, people are just going to go out and have some fun. But it's called 9-pin no tap. You know what 9 no tap is?
Nope.
So nine pin no tap. All it is, it's normal bowling, but if you get 9 pins, it's counted as strike.
Oh wow.
So there's 10 pins in bowling.
Yeah.
And for me, that's good because I always get stuck by the 10 pin. So the 10 pin is going to be the far right one. And the way that I bowl, if I don't get a strike, I'm usually going to either get a split or it's going to be the 10 pin. And so I usually do really well with no tap because always getting that 10 pin. But yeah, so no, that's fun, man. Hopefully you guys do well and you can, make it a little bit further. And now, would you go to Vegas if you guys made it there?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know I talk trash about Vegas, but that's where my wife was born and raised, and her best friend still lives there. So when we go, we don't stay down on the strip. We stay up in Henderson with my wife's best friend, and she has a nice house with a swimming pool in the back and all. But I love to go to Vegas and like go to a trade show or play in a pool tournament and stuff like that. What I don't like about Vegas, obviously the prostitution, it's just rampant there. And like, I love, as a sign guy, I love Vegas at night when all the signs are lit up. It's,
Right.
it's fantastic, but I'm not a gambler. So
Right.
and that's what Vegas is it's gambling. I mean, it's, and for me, like when I go, I'll usually say, okay, I got $20 a day and I'll, might go play some blackjack or something, but I'm not going to sit there and lose all my money. I'm sorry, but I'm just not doing it. So,
Right.
but I do love the pool tournaments because, man, you walk into a room and see 300 diamond pool tables set up. It's just
300. Holy moly.
The tournament this week, they had the singles and doubles this last 2 weeks. I think they said they had 359 diamond pool tables. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
And they're
crazy.
all diamonds with super aramith pro balls, and it's just phenomenal. And
Imagine being the guys to set those up.
there's a video online you can watch them doing it. They have a system down, And buddy, they go in there in a matter of a few days and take an empty room and turn it into, and they have multiple rooms where they have. I mean,
It's like a convention center, right? There's a bunch of
oh
pool
yeah,
tables everywhere. Yeah.
it's at the Westgate Convention Hall, and so anyway, it's just a lot of fun. And it's neat to go and see how far you can make it in a tournament. Because when you're playing, you're playing against in the AP, you're playing against the best people in your skill level.
Right.
And so that's why I want to play the singles event. I'm trying to qualify for that to see if I could go there and just see how far I can make it in the tournament. But you're going there if you make it to Vegas. Once you get there, you're still talking 200-300 players in your tier bracket that you got to make it through.
Right.
You're not going to play all 300, but
Bracketed. Yeah.
so.
Interesting. A kid I grew up with, we went to high school together and stuff. Growing up, like I grew up kind of in downtown area, and we'd run the streets. I say run the streets. You ride our bikes around, do whatever, get in mischief. But there's the downtown YMCA, and you used to be able to get in there for 75 cents, and you could get a whole day pass going to the YMCA. And so in the summers, we'd go to the Y, and they had a regulation pool table at the YMCA.
Huh.
And my friend Tyler, that I grew up with, he trigonometry pool, he picked it up. He just had a knack for it. We'd start going there, 6, 7, 8 years old, and he just had a knack for playing pool. Well, then by the time we get into middle school, into high school, he's going down there and running the table on people. $20 says I can beat you, and some 50-year-old dude comes in. He's been playing pool for 20 years, and Tyler would run the table on him and get all these guys so mad. Well, I lost track of Tyler. I mean, after high school and stuff, I've found him. We became friends on Facebook. Homeboy's a state champion pool player now.
Oh wow!
Like he's like done the thing, and it's just kind of fascinating. I know his name in Pennsylvania. He's known for his, him, and then there's like a team like what you're talking about. But yeah, so
What's his last name?
Tyler Chess. I haven't looked him up. I saw him on Facebook. He had won some sort of state championship a couple years ago.
There's a registry called Fargo, and it creates handicap, and this is the handicap system that all the pros, but anybody can get a Fargo rating if you play in a. So Tyler Chess is number 18 in Pennsylvania right now, and he is a 689 Fargo rating. That's high. We've got a guy here that's 78th in Colorado, and he's like a 648, and dude's good. Like he could just run rack after rack after rack. Like he's amazing. So your guy that you're talking about is rated even higher. The top player in the world.
What website is that?
You just Google Fargo rating, Fargo rate for Pennsylvania, and it'll pop up a sheet, and you can go. And that's
Fargo
as of
rate.
2025. But yeah, he's Tyler Chess. They're at number 18 right now. So
yeah, so he's still up there.
Dude's good. He could play.
Yeah.
A 689 is high. When you get up in the 600s and 700s, you're a good player. The top pros, like Shane.
I'm looking right now.
Shane Van
Josh
Bowen.
Filler.
Oh, Josh Filler, Fedor Gorst, and Shane Van Bowen. They're the top three, and they kind of go back and forth. They're like a 849, 850, something like that. I don't know exactly what theirs are, But yeah, those
That's
dudes are
crazy.
phenomenal. and
Huh.
and that rating system all has to do with basically about how many balls you run in a row when you're playing 9 ball or 8 ball. And I don't really understand how the computer calculates it, but basically those
Huh.
guys up there hardly ever miss.
That's crazy. I've watched some of the stuff um on YouTube. Every once in a while on
Oh
my feed,
yeah.
something will come up like some dude versus some dude.
Yep.
And these guys, like when you get to that level, if a lot of these guys, if you break well, you run the table. And if you're the other guy and you get a chance, you better
Yep.
start racking some balls down
Oh
because
yeah.
otherwise, I mean, it's
That's how
like,
it
it's
is when you
crazy.
watch a match between Filler or Fedor Gorst or Shane Van Bowen. Like, and they are so good at playing defense. There was a match I watched recently between Bowen and Gorst. They had like 25 defensive shots in one game. Like they just kept sticking each other. But they're so good they can make it around the table and make a good hit. But it's phenomenal to watch. I love watching the pros, man. They are so good. I'm not that good. I just love playing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely fascinating. Um, I was trying to look up, I guess you have to have a sign in to look per state. I don't have
You
a
if
sign
you
in.
could Google it and say Fargo rating for in what state. Most states have a chart that you can go see it. You don't have to sign in on Fargo's site.
Okay. I
But
got you.
yeah.
Um,
Well, put
well,
it
that's
this way:
interesting.
I'm a 425.
Oh,
So
gotcha.
if that tells you anything, so
Yeah. Crazy, crazy. I actually, my wife has asked me for like the last 5 months. I've had to make some frames for her for these stained glass pieces she's made. Well, she's got a craft fair, big craft fair this weekend, and so
oh,
she asked me if I could make this. So I got to get in the shop this week, and I got to make these frames for her. Um, but I wanted to do something on here real quick, Tom, because I don't know if I've actually talked about it on the podcast, but at least for the foreseeable future, Willie's wood finish isn't a thing anymore. As you guys know, I got promoted at work. My home life, church life, work life is really busy, and I just haven't had the time to invest in marketing and do anything. And so it went 6 months without a sale. When it did that, I finally decided to pull the plug on it.
yeah,
I made a good product. I was happy with the product that I made, but I wanted to give people an alternative because there's a company out there that's making really, really good finish, and it's very, very, very similar to mine, and that's a company called Bumbleshoots.
yeah.
Um, Eric over at Bumbleshoots is a really good guy. He does a lot of stuff for the Autism Foundation. I think his one of his kids is autistic, and he gives a portion back to that. But you're gonna laugh at this. When I was heavy into Willie's Wood Honey, I bought everybody's stuff to test it out to see like, oh, just kind of like insider trying to see what they're doing. I had bought a can of his shop wax, which is just like a multi-purpose wax, if you will. And I never used it. I never even opened it. And
Huh.
so I saw it in the shop. I made a Bible this weekend for our pastor. So our church is growing, and today was the official day of going to 2 services. We're a small church, and we're getting to the point where we got to make some room, and so we're going to 2 services, and so I made him a nice Bible. I said, "Hey, if you're gonna be doing 2 services now, you're gonna need yourself a nice Bible." Well, the leather that I used on it was kinda dry. I wanted to give it some hydration, and I went out. I was out there in the shop, and I saw this stuff, his shop wax, and I used it on the Bible. Oh my goodness. Did it work really, really, really well. So
Oh,
then I had
wow.
another old Bible, and I put some on that, and it revived that. And I'm like, I got all my leather boots and stuff. I'm about to put all this. So I just wanted to go out there and say, you know, right now I'm not making anything, and I don't know if I ever will again or when I do. But if you want a very similar, a really good product that's a good company, U.S. made, small company, Bumbleshoots, go support Eric over there. Because I actually have had people reach out to me in the last few months. I guess my stuff just lasts too long, and now people are finally starting to get back around. And somebody's like, "Hey, I went to your site and it wasn't there anymore." I said, "Yeah," I told them why, and I encouraged them to go check out Bumbleshoot. So I just wanted to say that on the podcast here. Um, if you guys are looking for an all natural, good wood finish, so
Cool deal.
yeah,
Well, man, I'm hungry. I want to go
yeah,
eat some dinner.
very good. Anything good?
My wife was making this Mexican dish. I don't really know what you call it, but yeah, I like all Mexican food.
Right.
Any,
I will say this: I do not like New Orleans, but the one thing that they do well is food. Lots of Cajun culture,
yeah.
the spice and stuff. And so the conference I was at, they fed us lunch and dinner. And it was like a full catered, like a walk-through line, but it was top-notch stuff.
Did y'all get crawdads?
There's some crawdads. I didn't have any of those. But every day was like a different theme. So like one day it would be, Cajun theme, one day it would be home cooking theme, one day it would be Southern cooking theme. My favorite is the Louisiana stuff. Red beans and rice.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Dude, I can smash me some red beans and rice. And they also had black beans and rice, which is kind of similar, a little different spices. Man, was it good. And then they had flank steak at one point, and then they had all kinds of stuff. But man, the food, they did it well. And every day I got a salad with my food. And I'm usually like a ranch guy, but I'm not too picky with my salad dressing. They had some sort of Cajun vinaigrette thingamabob.
Ooh, I bet that was good.
Let me tell you what. I was about to drink some of that, man. I was gonna it was so good. But,
I love vinaigrette dressings. Like,
yeah.
Oh yeah, they're all good to me. I don't know why it's my favorite, but
My favorite sauce ever. There's a wing place up here in the north. There's not very many of them anymore. They've kind of shrunk. They're called Quaker Steak and Lube. And they have a sauce called Louisiana Liquors. It's a Cajun barbecue sauce.
oh, I bet that's good.
Oh man, some wings. Let me tell you what. Makes your nose run. Just kind of like that, enough heat to feel it in the back of your throat. But good stuff, man. I'm getting hungry now too.
Yeah, man.
So, all right, man. It was good. Until next week. I'm Will from Flatwood Acres.
And I'm Tom from Mountain Valley Maker.